We are live. Give me just 1 second and we'll get started. We're gonna do another I guess gaming mouse giveaway. And we'll hit some news real quick. Give me just 1 second. All right, let's get into it. So we're gonna do a live giveaway just like yesterday. Sorry about that. So we'll do a live giveaway. You can go ahead and enter hashtag mouse in the chat. It doesn't have to be caps. It can be lowercase, I think. Well, yeah, we found that out yesterday. I do want to go over some real quick news that we got on the S26 Ultra. I want to go over some iPhone Air 2 news. It'll be quick. What else do we got? Google Play Services update. There's a bunch of new little upgrades here and there, little services that they're upgrading on that you probably will notice here in the near future. Everybody should start receiving that update, especially if you have a Pixel here in the next few days. If you have a Samsung and or OnePlus, might be a little bit down the line. It's just they don't really have a set release date on when they. I'm not talking about a software update. I'm talking about a Google Play Services update. Now remember, you have to manually check for that. They don't notify you when it's available. I check mine once a month. Let's go ahead and see. So go ahead and enter hashtag mouse in the chat. We will I gotta ship the winner from yesterday's giveaway. I'm gonna ship theirs out tomorrow, and whoever wins today, ship them off at the same time. So let's get into it real quick. So iPhone Air 2, believe it or not, Apple is apparently making the second version of the iPhone Air. Now, I typically stay away from, let me turn this music down. Apple, apparently it's a go. Apple is producing the second generation of the iPhone Air. Now, I typically stay away from new SKUs, new models, because typically it's just like a car, just like any other product. When a company puts out a brand new product for the very first time, there's issues here and there, right? And you can kind of tell with this one, it really didn't have, there's reports saying it didn't sell well. There's reports saying they cut production by half. There's reports saying there's no demand for it. Well, It looks like they're going to produce a number two. Now this iPhone Air 2 should be better. And we're going to go over the key differences real quick. So they're going to put two cameras in this upcoming iPhone. It appears they're going to be a pair of 48 megapixel fusion sensors. One's going to be the main sensor like the iPhone Air has right now. The added second camera is going to be a 48 megapixel fusion ultra wide angle. So still no telephoto shooter on the iPhone Air, but you can only put so many camera sensors on a super thin phone. Now, if you want to know what it looks like, I have a picture here. Now, it's not confirmed, obviously, but let's see. It looks like the current iPhone Air with an extra camera sensor on the back, right? And that's probably what it's going to be. That's probably what it's going to be, or at least what it's going to look like. So, interesting to see that one. Now, what else would they be putting on there? So, what are the main complaints with this iPhone Air? Well, it's only got one sensor. Okay, so they're going to add another. What's the other complaint? Battery life isn't that great. It doesn't suck, but it's not great. Well, apparently it looks like they're going to add upon that, because we do have some internal talks, some internal discussions coming out from Apple that Apple might put in a silicon carbon battery or something of similar status, of similar composite, similar makeup to a silicon carbon battery in the iPhone Air. Now, we discussed this. We've discussed this. Let me take this off. We've discussed this over the last, I don't know, couple of months, and a news report came out. It's like, wow, how come Samsung hasn't changed to silicon carbon batteries? How come Apple is not taking on the silicon carbon battery technology? Well, it's because they simply sell way too many devices and they just can't get their hands on enough silicon carbon. Like, that's just a fact. Apple and Samsung sell tens of millions, upwards of 100 million units sold every year. They just can't get their hands on enough silicon carbon. Now, maybe if they do one model with silicon carbon, because look, I think they're projected to hit 1 million iPhone Air sales in the US. They could probably sell 1 million phones. Look, OnePlus put silicon carbon in their OnePlus 13 and now upcoming OnePlus 15, and they probably sell around, shoot, I don't know, about 1 million phones, maybe a couple million. I think that's doable. I think if Samsung puts a silicon carbon battery in the Edge, or maybe the Ultra. Now, they do sell a lot more Ultras than any other model. But if you're Apple, if you're Samsung, if you have a device that sells maybe 1 million or a couple million devices a year, I think that's doable. So there is talks that Apple is going to put a silicon carbon battery inside the Air model next year. And I'm hoping Samsung, look, it's probably already set in stone. They're probably already starting to produce some of, well, maybe not this early, maybe this early, of the S26 Edge, right? Samsung's skinny phone version. I would like to see them put silicon carbon at least in one of their devices. It would extend the battery life. Now, Apple, the rumor is if they don't use silicon carbon, which there's a small chance they might not, Apple is going to slightly increase the battery size. Now, with a super slim device, there's only so much you can do. If they're going to add an extra camera sensor up there, and towards the top of this iPhone, towards the top of that iPhone Air, right on the top where that little plateau is, where the camera sensors are, that's where they put the modem, that's where they put the CPU, that's where they put like the logic board. That's like all the main components. So if you add an extra camera on there, underneath that little plateau, behind inside of the phone, there's only so much room. You can put a sensor, you can put a modem, a CPU, like a motherboard, a logic board. There's only so much room you can put in there. So that's why I'm thinking it's going to be a tight fit, but they are trying to work it out right now as we speak. So Currently, the iPhone Air 2 is a go. They're working on it, and you will see an extra camera and possibly a larger battery with the implementation of silicon carbon in that battery. Be on the lookout, should be released with the iPhone 18 series. So let's move on. Now, before we go to the next story, if you're watching this live, put hashtag mouse in the chat. Hashtag mouse in the chat to win a gaming mouse. This one right here. It's about $100, $119, I believe. That can be yours. Now let's move on. Let's move on to this. Since we're talking about iPhone, what do you know? iPhone Fold. So we got some statistics on the iPhone Fold because it will be launched alongside the iPhone Air 2, next year's iPhone 18 series. What can you expect from this device? Well, interesting. It's going to have some familiar features on it that you're used to. It's also going to have some familiar features that you're not used to. So we have a little more, as time goes on, we're getting a little more information in regards to this device, right? So the inner display, when you unfold it, is going to be a tad under 8 inches. And the outer display is going to be 5.5. So this is basically, when it's unfolded, it's going to look like an iPad mini. I think the iPad minis are right around 8 inches. So it's basically going to look like an iPad mini that you fold in half. Now, the outer display, it's a little smaller than I initially thought. 5.5 inches. That's small. Do you remember when the Samsung Galaxy Folds first came out? Their outer displays used to be like 5.5 inches. I'm not going to touch this one. I'm not going to touch this thing with a 10-foot pole. Just like I was talking about with the iPhone Air, when they launch a brand new device, a brand new model, a brand new SKU for the very first time, there's going to be issues. Let's face it, there's going to be issues. Now, I would potentially give you the green light if you're asking for my thoughts on it. I would say, yeah, you could probably get the iPhone Air 2 if that's what you want. Or I would say hold off on this Fold, wait for the second gen, because there's probably going to be something wrong or something you don't like with this device. But here's some of the rumored specs that this thing's going to have. So apparently we got sensor information. Apparently we have features it's going to have, features it's not going to have. So the rumored dual camera setup on the rear, it's going to have 2 sensors on the back, just like the iPhone Air 2 we were talking about. It's going to have dual 48 megapixel sensors. It's probably going to have the same sensors as the Air. A 48 megapixel main sensor, a 48 megapixel ultra wide, no telephoto lens. So these are the features that are going to be missing. No telephoto lens, no variable aperture, and no time of flight sensor. The time of flight sensor helps with depth perception, with pictures like portrait mode and stuff like that. Let's move under the hood. As you can see here, it's going to have that A20 processor. It's going to have Apple's in-house C2 modem, which I'm still wondering how well that's going to perform. It's going to have 12 gigs of RAM, up to 1 terabyte of storage, a 5,500 milliamp per hour battery. But check this out. No Face ID. No Face ID? Huh? What the hell? So how are you going to verify apps? How are you going to verify security? Is it going to have a side-mounted fingerprint scanner on the power button? Maybe. We don't know yet, but no Face ID, very interesting. Now, one thing we do know, the reason why it's not going to have Face ID is because they are expected to put an under-display selfie camera under the inside display. So it's not going to be like the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7 where it's got that little hole punch, right? Everybody's used to that little hole punch. I'm using my Pixel. Everybody's used to that little hole punch on the inside display. Apple's going to be doing a under display sensor. Apparently they haven't figured out where, some under display sensors, it's like 95% clear, meaning like it looks like any other sensor. Well, these under display sensors actually have to see through the LEDs, actually have to see through the display. And there's just a slight, kind of like on the Red Magic phones, there's just a slight cloudiness, just a very, very minuscule amount, some kind of like cloudiness you can't really see too well. Um, but Apple's apparently figured it out. That's what I hear. Now, on the outer display, so why don't they have Face ID on the outer display? I have no idea. But that's what they're telling us right here. No Face ID is to be expected. So I'm expecting a side mounted fingerprint sensor, right? So that is the iPhone Fold. Now, S26 update. If you're watching this and you want to win a mouse, put hashtag mouse in the chat. Hashtag mouse in the chat. We're going to do it here in just a minute. There's a football game I want to watch, so it starts here in a few minutes. We'll get out of here shortly. I know y'all got stuff to do too, but check this out. So, oh, I'm going to put, if you go into the description of this video, like if you click on the title and then expand the description of this video, what do you know? I got to go. So let's do the drawing right now. Put hashtag mouse in the chat. Well, we got one entry. So it looks like you're the lucky winner. Email me. I have your email. I'm going to get with you here in just a second. And you're the winner. So congratulations. That was easy. I got to run, but I do appreciate the time. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I know, right? I was like, what the hell? Make sure everybody watching this, you subscribe to the channel. I have more stuff to give away. And you never know. You can be the only person here and you're the winner. So I'll get with you on the back end. I got to go. It's my wife on the phone. So it's that time of the day. Football and wife time. Family time. So I'll get with you on the back end and send you a tracking. I'll get you a label, print it up, and I'll ship it out with the other winner from yesterday's show. But I will talk to you soon, and have a good evening. I'll see you all tomorrow. Peace.